So this is Judge Alyssa Perez presiding over the 210th District Court criminal docket for October 5th, 2021. All matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives. Regarding COVID-19, in addition to that, we are streaming all matters live via YouTube for public viewing. Mr. Pantoja, would you please call our first case?
Yes, Judge. Cause number 2018-030-4253, State of Texas versus Yannette Patricia King. Announcement of counsel, please.
Brian Herrera for the State of Texas. Ready, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Rudy Perez, ready for Yannette King.
Okay, and we are here on a motion to modify the terms and conditions of community supervision. You may proceed, Mr. Perez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate it. There you go. I couldn't see myself. Excuse me. Ms. King is on. I don't know if she's been pulled into the hearing yet.
I do see her, Ms. King. Do you see us? Can you hear us okay? I see a Yannette King Cyber.
I believe that is her, Judge, but I don't think she connected to the audio.
Okay. Maybe you can send her a chat. I don't know if that's helpful. Ms. King, I don't know. I don't think she can hear us. You'll need to connect to audio. And is Carla? Yeah, there's Carla. Cool.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. Ms. King, can you hear us? Yeah. She's not connected to audio, although I do see her. Mr. Perez, do you see her as well?
Let me see here. Let me check. Yes, I do see her.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can hear us or not.
Yeah, I don't know how successful we will be at showing her how to connect to audio. Are you ready to proceed, even though she's not connected to audio?
Yes, Your Honor. We've spoken to her at great length on this case. She is, and I appreciate Mr. Pantoja bringing us in early, since we had that conflict with JP 62. Given the importance to Ms. King of this hearing and this motion to modify her terms and conditions of probation. She's been on DWI felony probation since about April or so of maybe August of 2019. And she's been, I've spoken to her PO, Desiree Vallejo. I've spoken to Brian Herrera, and they confirmed that she has been very successful on her probation. And that she's she's ahead on some of her conditions. And she's basically about almost 2.5 years into her 5-year probation. One of the terms of her probation was that she would not be able to drive a vehicle unless approved by the court. And at this time, she's been asking, probably since about June or July of this year, that she be allowed to drive her car because her parents are very ill. And she also, she's been getting rides, to do, a various number of errands for her. I'm a caretaker for my parents also, so I understand how important it is to be able to have flexibility, to be able to drive yourself, to get medications, to get groceries, to attend to their needs, to help them shower, all that kind of stuff. And also I think she might have 2 jobs, but she also needs a vehicle to be able to drive to her work. And of course, I detailed that more of that in my motion.
I think I understand the request, Mr. Perez. I think it's basically she wants to drive. Like, my question is, does she have a valid driver's license and insurance?
I think she does, Your Honor, but I wanted to check into that, and I completely forgot to check into the DPS site. But I think she can answer that question for us.
Ms. King, I don't know. Okay, in the meantime, Ms. Pineda, and I'm seeing a reference here to the curfew as well. Are you requesting that the curfew?
Yes, Your Honor. And of course, again, being a caretaker myself, sometimes I get called at early morning hours or early into the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning. Most of the time it's during the day, but she does need flexibility to be able to do that and have the ability to jump at a moment's notice to go help her parents. And also to have that interlock in her car rather than a portable device.
Okay, well, we're probably not going to do that. But Ms. King, I see you're connected now to audio. Could you unmute, please? *6. In the meantime, let me get Spinella. Can I get a quick report? I seem to remember reviewing this already, and I thought she was on track. Can you tell me if we've got that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. It is basically what Mr. Perez described to us right now. Ms. King has been in compliance. Her probation started August 13, 2019. She has fully completed her 2 years on probation. She has completed everything that was court ordered as far as classes, her 10-day ACOP fees. She's up to date.
What about compliance with the monitor?
There has been no violations regarding the monitor, Judge. She does test 3 times a day.
Okay.
There are no indications in the past, no history that I see here that the officer reported of any violations on that while on the monitor.
Okay.
I'm trying to see, I was trying to ask her officer if she knew anything about the driver's license, but I haven't heard back yet. So I don't know if Ms. King
Ms.
would let us
King,
know.
do you have a valid driver's license and insurance?
I do.
Okay. So I'm going to need you to provide a copy of that, the driver's license and insurance, to probation. Okay. With that, and in terms of the curfew, those are the 2 things that I will grant your request on, Mr. Perez, is the curfew and the restriction on driving. She may drive as long as she maintains a valid driver's license and valid insurance. With
Okay.
respect to the portable monitor, I am not going to change that. Pereira, can you tell me, was this a true third?
Your Honor,
Mhm.
yes, I believe it was. She has, I'm seeing one out of Dallas. Just one other conviction out of Dallas, Your Honor.
Okay.
Now
So,
she does have other arrests. So this is technically number 4, Your Honor.
this is number 4?
This is number 4. So I see
No.
she
Hold on,
completed, there's a 2003 misdemeanor DWI out of Dallas County, for which she completed probation on. And then that was revoked. Or which yeah, so that was revoked, and then so that's just one out of Dallas. I apologize, Your Honor. She's got 2 local and 1 out of Dallas, so this is a true third.
Mr. Perez, did you have anything else? I don't know if I heard. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at Zoom right now, so I don't know if your client was trying to say something. Did you have something else?
I wanted to just, bring up to the court that, with Mr. Herrera, I've spoken to Brian, and he's, again, with all respect to the court, that, he's not in opposition to grant her this flexibility. And the same with Ms. Vallejo, her probation officer. They're okay with our request, including, and I hope that the court will consider allowing her to get that device in her car rather than a portable. But, we definitely need to drive and of course, the curfew situation.
So as I mentioned, I am not going to change the monitor. It is the standard monitor that I use. In fact, because I'm going to allow her to drive, I'm going to increase the testing to 4 times a day, but she will be allowed to drive a motor vehicle for whatever purposes, as long as she has a valid driver's license and insurance. And I am also going to remove the curfew restriction. Ms. King, because of the nature of the offense, that's just the monitor that I use. I don't often use an interlock. I use a portable monitor because there are always other concerns. This particular monitor has a GPS and daily reporting. Other monitors don't do that. So this one is a little bit more accessible to the court to review. We're going to do a review in 6 months. When does she term, Carla?
Not until August 2024, Judge.
Okay, so we're going to do a review in 6 months. If everything's good to go, we'll just stay on course. I just want to make sure we're still as compliant as you have been, Ms. King. Thank you very much for doing what you need to do. It's not often that we have probationers that follow the instructions. So thank you for
Thank
doing
you.
that. If there are any further requests, I imagine there will be something filed. You can also let your probation officer know, okay? No,
you.
her presence will not be required at the review, Sandy. I just want to go over with probation in about 6 months to see how she's doing, okay?
Ma'am, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you, Mr. Pettis. If you don't have anything else, you're excused. Thank you, Ms. King.
Thank
Your
you.
Honor. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, let me just get this order going and then we can go to the next one. All right, should we go ahead?
Yes, Judge. Aguilar, page 1,
Okay,
cause number 2020-0D02701, State of Texas versus Victor Aguilar. Announcement to council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas. Ready, Your Honor.
Charles Roberts for the defense. We're ready.
good morning, Mr. Roberts. We're here for a final
Good
hearing
morning.
plea deadline. Let me see. Mr. Herrera, what is the rec?
Your Honor, so there has, I don't believe that a formal rec has been made. We were asking for time. This is one that we might consider community supervision with registration. However, I believe Mr. Aguilar and co-defendant are still wanting it to have their day in court, just given the nature of the offense.
Okay, so you're not, let me make sure I understood you because I'm doing like 3 different things. So there is no probation rec at this time, correct?
No, Your Honor, no. I might, we might consider that, but I don't think that that's gonna necessarily change the fact that we're on the trial track.
Mr. Roberts?
I believe it will be a trial.
Okay, let me ask, you were scheduled for obviously this Friday. Is anybody ready to go this month?
I can speak for the state, Your Honor. That's not enough time for the state. I don't want to speak
And I'm
first.
not
but-
referencing just the 8th, but I'm sure Mr. Dada, you know, but Mr. Roberts, we have a few panels in October and in early December. And so are either of those settings workable for you, or are we really looking at an April 2022 reset?
I think we would need more time.
Okay, so if there is no objection from either of you, I am going to reset this for April 22nd. We're gonna have our fingers crossed that maybe we have better circumstances and a more flexible or more closer to normal protocol in terms of jury trials and jury selection. You will get your settings. I don't know if there are any things that need to be heard, but we'll use that as our target date and hopefully we can have better circumstances for that trial.
Your Honor, is it safe to assume that the co-defendant with Mr. Minus will get the same date?
So I had.
He's here, Your Honor.
I was failing to see how they were
Oh,
co-defendants.
hold on, Judge, hold on. You're breaking up really, really bad.
So I failed to see how they were co-defendants. Can you hear me okay?
There you are.
Other than having a complainant in common, but that's for you all. Motion for continuance filed on October 1st. Let's go ahead, and that's cause number 2020-0D02702. Mr. Minez, I did see on your client, you had filed a motion for continuance. If you've heard some of the discussion on Mr. Roberts' client, are you okay with the April 22nd date, or would you like to shoot for something either this month, October, or December?
April is fine, Your Honor, and again, also, I don't understand whether they're gonna try jointly, like, I don't think they can be tried jointly.
Sorry, I can't, would you please repeat all that?
I didn't understand.
I'm sorry, can you hear me okay, Your Honor?
It's a little low, your volume, so if you'd speak up.
Okay, yes, the April it's fine, Your Honor. I just do believe I would like to know which one of the two trials is gonna go. Because we're gonna be ready. So I don't, on that date, so.
So again, maybe we can space these out. We'll have Mr. Roberts on 4/22 and then give Mr. Minus a May date. I think it was May 6th. I can't remember what the
I have
date.
May 6th, Your Honor.
May 6th.
Yeah, Your Honor, we will be ready to try the case on that day.
Okay. For either case, if anyone has motions, of course, please file them and request the hearing via email with your pleading. Gentlemen, thank you very much. If there's nothing further, if you have nothing else, you are excused.
Thank you.
Take care, gentlemen. All right, who's next, Chief?
Okay, Judge Bolivar, page 1.
Okay, go ahead.
Cause number 2017-0D03963. State of Texas versus Oscar Bolivar. Announcement of council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas. Ready, Your Honor.
And that should be Judge Nunez.
Judge, are you there?
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, ma'am. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. We're here on a final hearing plea deadline. Your client is in jail. This Friday is technically our backup jury trial date. Mr. Herrera, what is the recommendation on this case?
6 TDC, Your Honor. We had sent out plea papers and Judge Nunez countered with 5, but the state rejected that offer. We're still at 6.
And I spoke to the defendant last night, Judge, and he has finally agreed to the 6. So
Okay.
I'm going to meet with him hopefully today to get the plea paper signed, and I will send them back to Mr. Herrera.
So we'll
sir.
reset the final hearing. I know you're really good about getting us the paperwork, Judge. So I'm going to reset this for 1 week at the 3 p.m. slot, anticipating that we would actually have a plea instead of just a final hearing and trying to find a trial date, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thumbs up, we'll address it then with your client.
Thank you, Judge.
And
Take care.
Judge Nunez, you said he hadn't signed yet, correct?
That's correct.
Now I think Ms. Vergara prepared these, if I'm not mistaken.
She did, and what she did is she has them pleading to all counts. I was hoping that you would redo them and just allow him to plead to 1 count. It doesn't make any difference.
Well, will you shoot those over to me? Because either way, I'm going to have to change the signature block, and
Okay.
I'll run that by Rene
Okay.
Flores. Okay.
Yes, and I'm also going to need the sex registration documents as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll get those out to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank
One-
you. Have a good
One
day.
last thing, Mr. Nunez, when you get the finalized signature on the plea documents, if you could forward them to me.
Yes, will do, Mr. Pantoja.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take care, Judge.
You too, ma'am.
Who's next, Chuy?
Hey, Judge Chapa, top of page 2. Cause number 2019-0D05995. State of Texas versus Cynthia Mariana Chapa. Announcement of council, please.
Alex Squid for the state. Ready, Your Honor? Good morning.
Good morning.
Words for Ms. Chapa. Ready, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning. So what are we doing? I think actually, I don't even remember. Were we doing a bench trial? Were we having waivers? Did this turn back into a plea? What happened?
It's back to a plea, Judge. Talked to Mr. Word. Some new evidence was produced. He stated that his client would be accepting the 1244B rec. I believe we had sent out the plea papers back in May, and that's what we were talking about before you got on, Your Honor. So we can resend that paperwork if we need to, but it should be a plea, Judge.
Do you know Mr. Herrera? Oh, well, no, it's not you. It's not. Never mind. Never mind. Sorry, Alex.
It's all good, Judge.
I was getting confused. Are we good to go, Mr. Birch?
Yes, Your Honor, we are. So we just need to confirm with Mr. Pantoja that he has the plea paperwork. If not, I guess we can resend it and then we'll set it for a plea.
Okay. If you'll please do that, I'll set you all for 1 week out. I feel like those plea papers were a while ago, so hopefully we find them and if not, we can square it away. We'll reset for 1 week, anticipating a plea, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Judge, if I may, Mr.
Mhm.
Words, if you could resend them, I checked my email. I didn't receive them. And during that time, I was out on leave. But I
Okay.
checked my email and they didn't come in.
All right, so as soon as we get them, we'll get you set.
Okay.
If you need to work,
Very good.
if you need some flexibility with clients availability, all of that stuff, Mr. Wirtz, just let us know.
I will, Your Honor. Thank you.
Take care. Thanks, guys.
Great. Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Judge Hilliard, page 3.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's cause number 2019-0D00815, State of Texas versus James Edward Hilliard. Announcement of council, please.
Brian Herrera for State of Texas. Ready, Your Honor.
Daniel Marquez on behalf of Mr. Hilliard. Ready, Your Honor. Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, everybody else.
Good morning.
Morning.
So this is our gentleman, this is our out of state case, kind of, right?
Yes, ma'am. He
Okay.
resides in Alabama.
Okay, it's a little bit older. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we already have a special setting in March of next year. Technically, we're set Friday. Any resolution, anything changed? Or are we still looking at trial?
I believe so, Your Honor. The recommendation is 10 deferred with registration.
Mhm. So you believe this is a trial?
Unless Mr. Hilliard has changed his mind, which I don't believe he has. I think we're still headed towards the trial, Your Honor.
Mr. Marcus?
That's accurate, Your Honor. Given the nature and the age of the case, this is probably going to be over a 30-year-old case now by the time we go to trial.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Marcus, are you okay with just going to the special setting, or would you like me to see if I can fit you in before the end of the year?
Your Honor, I think the special setting is best right now because I've talked with the witnesses. We have witnesses that will be coming from Alabama and potentially Georgia.
Mhm.
And they've been very flexible with all of the jury trial settings so far. So I hate having to go back to them and say, can you open up this week now? And so I've talked with them about that time, and I think that's best because it gives everybody enough time to plan.
Uncertainty. Yeah, certainly. I only have a few panels this remaining for this year, and it would be, kind of being in the queue. I'd rather have you on a date that was more certain. As long as you all are okay with that, then we'll go with the next set of dates. No jury trial on Friday, okay? If you all need a hearing on anything, let me know.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Take care. Who's next, Joey?
Okay, Judge Hull on page 3.
Mhm.
Cause number 2021-0D00237. Cause number 2020-0D01314. Cause number 2019-0D02396. State of Texas versus Marcus Ellen Hull. Announcement of council, please.
Brian Herrera for the State of Texas. Ready, Your Honor.
Julia Martin on behalf of Mr. Hall, ready to proceed, Your Honor.
And final hearing plea deadlines on all, Mr. Herrera?
Judge, so the recommendation was 10 TDC. Now, Julia, I read your email this morning. I know you're really good about writing those down. So I don't know if Linsui had reached out to you with the 5, but that I just don't, my notes don't reflect that. So I don't know how accurate that is.
I don't know how accurate it is either. So can you shoot me an email with what the actual offer is so I can speak with Mr. Hall?
Yeah, and I'll respond because I saw your email this morning and I just wanted to clarify that because yeah, that's the first I hear the 5.
I don't know if I had written that in. One thing too, Josh, I believe that I've also asked you about the counts because one of the charges has, I think, 2 counts, doesn't it? The one that has to do with the police.
The 13, 14.
13, 14.
I also need to know about those as well.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
How quickly, Ms. Martin, how quickly can, how much time do you need? Because we're set for Friday, but I want to see about how we set. If I can bring you back in a week, that's great, but I don't know if you have a lot on your plate, maybe you need 2 weeks.
If you could give me 2 weeks, I would appreciate it, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll reset for 2 weeks, final hearing plea deadline, and then go from there.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Who's next, Tree?
Okay, Judge Livingston, bottom of page 3.
Okay, go ahead.
Cause number 2020-0D06337, State of Texas versus Pyong Pak Livingston. Announcement of council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas. Ready, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jeep Darnell for Pyong Livingston.
And we are here, final hearing plea deadline, Mr. Herrera.
Judge, unfortunately, we're still waiting on the P file, which is another burglary of HAB.
I thought it was a burglary of
Burglary of
building.
building, excuse me, burglary of building and evading, which is the misdemeanor. So he's being held on the misdemeanor evading right now. Now, I believe we have, actually, sorry, Judge, we've got a grand jury scheduled on Thursday for the burglary of a building.
What's the date of offense on that? The alleged date of offense on that burglary?
On that burglary,
It was probably about 45 days ago, Judge. Más o menos.
Sorry, Judge, one moment.
And the evading arises out of the same incident?
No, Judge, the evading is from August 30th. So this is an April 24th, 2021 burglary of a building. But it's my notes show that it's going before the grand jury on this Thursday, 10/7.
Your Honor, may I interrupt real fast so I don't speak over you? So I was appointed August 31st on a burglary of a building and a evading arrest. And those were showing arrest date of July 13th.
Okay.
And then I was appointed again on September 23rd on another 2 burglaries of buildings for an arrest date of 9/22. I don't know exactly how many there are, to be perfectly honest.
Can you look that up, Mr. Herrera? Can you tell me, are we talking about? Sounds like we're talking about more than one, that's for sure.
So, Jeep, would you mind giving me those dates one more time? 7/22, you said?
One second. So I was appointed August 31st for burglaries of buildings that were alleged to have occurred on July 13th. I'm sorry, for a burglary of a building that was alleged to have occurred on July 13th. Then another one that has a burglary of a building arrested August 30th, and that's the evading. And then on September 23rd, I was appointed on a 2 burglaries of a building, and the arrest date on those was September 22nd.
The notation, I'm sorry, Mr. Darnell, the notation from our clerk is that there are a total of 3 burglaries, 1 possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1. And then, let's see.
The 2 capiases,
Evading,
okay.
2 capiases.
I
So,
wondered about that because I think there was a rearrest on the capias. Sorry about that. There was a burglary of a building, I think, that I was never appointed on until he was rearrested on the capias. So that may be what that is.
just to be clear, yes, go ahead, Marissa, I was gonna ask you, go ahead.
Yes, it's 5 total burglary buildings, but 2 of them are rearrests. But it is 3 pending ones. I can give you the JMAG numbers on those if you need. And then 1 possession, which looks like it's going to be a state jail. That's also pending. And an evading arrest, but it's got an E and H next to it. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a misdemeanor or if it's going to get up to a felony.
So.
And then there's 1 more misdemeanor, Your Honor. That is a Deceptive Trade Practices Act misdemeanor.
Yes, that one's already filed.
Correct.
Okay.
And one of the BOBs, I believe, is actually filed, correct? would
Yes,
be this
so
one.
the oldest one,
Mhm.
that's our case. I
So it
know,
sounds like, Brian, I'm not sure if you know the status on all of those. What if we reset the final hearing plea deadline for 2 weeks? See if everything's going to the grand jury this week or not. Find out where we are. I also want to make sure that Mr. Darnell is appointed on everything that is outstanding, so we don't have anything kind of falling by the wayside. Mr. Darnell, it's not really going to be a final hearing plea deadline. Honestly, we're not, unless you're asking me to go to trial, we're not going to trial in October. We need to wrap everything up. I actually would be more inclined to go ahead and give you that April 22nd trial date. And if these cases come down quickly, we can attach everything there, and then you can just work through on a more reasonable timetable than doing things piecemeal.
Your Honor, I think it's not to act like I know everything. Of all the stupid things to hold this up, it will probably be the possession of a controlled substance.
Right.
Because that's going to be sent to the lab before they indict it, and that's taking months and months and months.
Mhm.
The only problem with the April 22nd date, Your Honor, is I will be trying Kenny Gomez case for the 3rd time. This time the civil case for the entire month of April.
Okay.
So I will not be available. My
So
apologies.
let's get you a May date then. I don't even want to do May 6th unless you're asking for that, just to give you a turnaround time. So
Yeah,
let's
no,
look
please.
to mid to late May for Mr. Livingston. But we will do a status in 2 weeks because I am curious to see what we get out. If stuff is already in queue to go to the grand jury to see how that shakes out. Maybe a recommendation comes out that doesn't make us wait on the drug case.
Sure.
You know, something like that. So we'll come back in 2 weeks for status. If you need I don't know if you're going to be asking for a bond. I don't know. Do you want to have it at the jail slot, Jeep, or do you want to do it just regular Tuesday morning?
Regular Tuesday morning's fine. My client, at least until the time being, is going to stay in jail. I will be asking for some weird discovery in these cases. I will give you a heads up on that once they're all filed. I think there may be more than one Korean guy in the entire city of El Paso. So we'll have to shake that one out.
Oh, I bet you're right on that.
Yeah,
we'll come
and the
back
fact
in
that
2
they may
weeks.
still be happening even after my client goes to jail. Maybe exculpatory.
Oh, Lord. We're going to come back in 2 weeks just for a status, but we'll go with the new timetable with the May trial setting. We'll get you your setting. Mr. Detta, the only thing I'll be looking for is to see if we've got those cases already or not.
yes,
Okay?
Judge, and Marissa, I'll shoot you an email if you if you can hook me up with those JMags, and I'll look into them.
That works.
Yeah. Alrighty. Thank you,
All right.
Judge.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Chief.
We'll see you in 2 weeks on that one.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Yeah, Sandy, we'll go with the 20th, May 20th. All righty. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Who's next, Chuy?
Okay, Judge Efrain Martinez, page 4.
Mm-hmm.
Cause number 2020-0D02670, State of Texas versus Efrain Roque Martinez. Announcement to council, please.
Brian Herrera for State of Texas, ready, Your Honor.
And good morning, Your Honor. Denise Butterworth on behalf of Mr. Martinez.
Good morning, and we are here. Let me double check on something. I had reviewed your motion. Ms. Butterworth, what I'm looking for is a report from PR.
And while you look, Judge, I spoke to Mr. Herrera yesterday. He is in agreement with the motion, so he's not contesting it. And the new recommendation made by the state is counseling for a dismissal. So I'm hoping that that will shed light on signing the order in it, and maybe our next status could be set for a dismissal hearing if you do those.
And this was to have contact. I think there was a protective order initially that's expired a long time ago. I think in your modification, I don't see anything from PR. And the victim was the ex's father, is that right? So it's
That's
not
correct.
any of the individuals that he's asking to have contact with, correct?
That is correct. She is not the listed complaining witness in the underlying case.
Okay, and it's her and the children, right? Or is it just with her?
I don't believe the child was placed on it's the bond order that was restricting him from
Just from
having
her?
contact with her, and I don't think the child was placed in that order.
Okay, perfect. Mr. Herrera, correct? You're not opposed to this?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Have you had any contact with any of the victims about this?
Yes, Judge. And I mean, specifically, I believe that the motion is to modify contact with the ex, who's not his ex, so long as the father and brother stays in place.
Okay.
I'm in agreement.
That'll be granted. It'll be no offensive contact, just to cover our bases on this one. I don't know, Sandy, if there's anyone here from PR, but we would need to get, I didn't see an order also, Ms. Butterworth. You may have sent it, but.
Yeah, there's answers, but I already requested it, so it's on its way.
Okay, perfect. All right, we're good to go. Thank you. Do we have a future setting on this one?
No, Judge, we were
believe
set
it's
for a
set for trial.
final. Yeah, we were set for a final plea deadline today.
Okay. And so then is the dismissal rec, Mr. Herrera?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. How much time do you need, Ms. Butterworth? How much does your client need?
I would say hopefully the sooner the better he can knock this out. So I would say 2 to 3 weeks. And if I get the proof of counseling sooner, I'll submit it to Mr. Herrera, and then hopefully we just disappear off your docket after he signs the dismissal.
We're going to reset this for the final hearing plea deadline in 30 days, anticipating dismissal. Okay. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Take care. Who's next, Chuy?
Hey, Judge Navarro, page 5,
Mm-hmm.
cause number 2019-0D02915, State of Texas versus Michael Navarro. Announcement of council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas. Ready, Your Honor.
Monique Velarde for defense. Defense is ready, Your Honor.
And we're here for a final hearing plea deadline. We do have a backup date in February. Mr. Herrera, what's the rec?
Judge, so the recommendation is 10 deferred. However, I've obviously been in contact with Ms. Velarde. For right now, it's more likely we're going to use that backup trial date in February, in hopes that we can resolve it in between that time. But and we have been in contact quite a bit on this one, so that's kind of where we're at. I don't want to speak for Ms. Velarde, but
Ms. Velarde,
I agree with everything. That was easy. Ditto, Your Honor.
okay. So I'm not going to try and complicate it since you all seem to be handling this. I was going to throw out that we could potentially try and set it in December if that's helpful to resolution. But if it's not, we'll just give you our next set of dates as they are and go from there. Yes? Is that what I'm hearing?
yes.
That works, Your Honor. I had been preparing my client anyway, given, I mean, we were never really sure, and the October dates were never for sure anyway. So February works. I think we may be able to resolve this, fingers crossed, but if not, we'll be ready in February.
Okay, we'll take off that Friday trial and just go with our new dates. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am.
Who's next, Tree?
Hey, Judge Neria on page 9.
Okay, go ahead.
Cause number 2019-0D03277, State of Texas versus Jacob Neria. Announcement of council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas. Ready, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Joseph Vasquez representing Mr. Neria. We're ready.
Okay, and we are scheduled on a motion to recall KPS. Give me a second. I don't recall seeing this one, Mr. Vasquez. Go ahead and I'll catch up.
Judge, my client is charged with burglary of habitation. And this case has been pending for a long time. In the interim, he was arrested for a DWI. He bonded out on everything. And basically, there was a violation report filed in regards to the Intox machine, and a warrant was issued and a $100,000 bond was set. My client is still in the community and I've had regular contact with him. He is working 2 jobs. He resides at 1329 Desert Canyon Drive here in El Paso. And he is still being monitored by the breathalyzer despite the fact that he has a warrant. I try to get some records from PR Bond or from the Intox company about, whether there have been any violations or anything like that. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that. Judge, the DWI has been pending over a year and it hasn't been indicted. It's a DWI 3rd or more. And I don't understand why. It was a blood draw, but I don't know if it hasn't been sent out for testing or there are no results, but he does currently have a $20,000 bond on the DWI. And all he wants to try and do is get all these warrants taken care of so that he can continue working, and he will continue using the monitor and abiding by the terms and conditions of his bond. But there's $120,000 in bonds outstanding. He's not in custody at the time, but obviously he's going to, turn himself in and get these taken care of. And that's the reason that I filed the motion, hoping that we can get him back on a PR bond on the burglary of habitation, and then he can post the bond on the DWI and then wait for the courts to take their course. And that's what we're asking for.
So I'm sorry, or Marissa, maybe you can help me on this one. Is the on the burglary, his bond is 20,000 or it's 100,000?
It's 100,000, Judge.
It's 100,000.
And what were the violations?
Missed blows.
Missed compliance with the monitor?
Yes, Judge. They allege that on January 4th, February 8th, November 9th of 20, January 5th of 21, and February 2nd of 21, he missed tests.
What's the history of compliance on PR? I'm trying to go through some documents here, Mr. Vasquez, but maybe it's either Marissa or Mr. Deda, you can tell me. I'm seeing way back in 5th of October, he had a PR violation there in the 346 and was bumped up to 50,000. Let me see. I just need to get some more documents. That's when he picked up the DWI 3rd.
Judge, the only notes I see that he was, he's had the open warrant since at least back in April.
Mm-hmm. 10/22.
I don't see anything before that.
Marissa, can you help out here? Court of 10/22. I'm not seeing any documents in the jailing, at least
I
in the
don't.
most recent. Mhm.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not seeing anything either. I see the warrant February 11th of 2021.
Mhm.
I think there was something back in October because I'm seeing an order denying something. So I'm having to go through the jailing. It might just be under a different booking.
And that, I think in October, that was the DWI is probably what that was.
Let's see, affidavit,
Well,
okay, 2/26/21.
I think there was only 2 violations, and that was when he was arrested for the DWI, he was jailed. And then when he was finally able to bond out, he had these violations filed in February and the warrant was issued.
Right. February,
and
failed
so-
to abide by, he had 18 missed tests from January 4th. And this was a transfer over from the 346, ¿verdad? Is that what happened?
Yes.
So from January to February, he had 18, and he had already been addressed in November 2020, January 21, about missing tests. So, and you're telling me, Mr. Vasquez, he's still on the monitor right now?
The last meeting I had with him, and that was 2 weeks ago when I filed the motion. Yes, he told me that he still got the machine and he's still blowing into it. And I tried to get records and I wasn't able to, but if you want to verify that and base your decision on that, I totally agree. And if you
So
want to
we
reset
can-
it,
Yeah, we can do a couple of things. We can push it back to Thursday, so I can get a full report from PR. If you have time to hang out for a little bit, we can wait and see if PR will get me that report.
Judge, I have a 10:30 hearing in federal court, but I can log back in if you want, whatever you prefer.
Sure, if you want to do that, and if we don't get anything, we'll see you on Thursday.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you very
Alrighty.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
All righty, who's next, Chewy?
Okay, Judge Williams, bottom of page 8.
Okay, go ahead.
Cause number 2020-000-1993, State of Texas versus Richard Adrian Williams. Announcement of council, please.
Kent Sutton from the state.
Good morning, Your Honor. Daniel Gonzalez on behalf of Mr. Williams. How you doing, Mr. Sutton?
All right, so this is set for a final hearing plea deadline. What were we waiting on? Anything?
Judge, on me begging, I've got difficulty. The case it's tied to 6 parts. I think to court this. So I talked to Mr. Sutton, begging Mr. Sutton. He sent me a snide email, but I'm sitting on it. So I want to go back to him and make some other propositions, Judge. It's just the underlying rec is too deferred, but he takes his deal. He's gonna lose. He's gonna lose all his liquor licenses, and the businesses will be closed. And I've got a TABC person that's trying to help me with this. So that's the issue with this. So if you can get,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say, there's another individual who works for the same organization who's charged with the same offense, and we pled him to do 2 deferred, and he's already pled, and I can't give him a misdemeanor when I gave someone else who's an associate of his a felony. So I'm not going to reduce it to a misdemeanor.
oh, well, that's what I need to talk to you about, because I think your facts are different on than mine. He's not an associate, but I can, like I've told you, this falls out of a civil lawsuit, Your Honor, big mess in the 210th. Been litigating since 2016. One of the partners goes and makes the allegation to TABC. They researched my client for money laundering. All they could find was this. I mean, there was an investigation for like 2 years, and I'm trying to get the numbers in the accounting because they're saying he didn't put the right amount of the loan amount on a document.
All right.
So it's a lot different than Sebastian, Kent.
Well, it's, I mean, there's 2
That's why I wanted to talk to you off record about it.
Okay, well, we'll give you all the opportunity to do that. It doesn't sound like anybody's dying to go to trial. Well, you're actually only set for a final hearing plea deadline. We don't have a trial setting. So you all are going to get that April, well, yeah, you're going to get the April 22nd, 2022 trial setting with a new slate of dates. Please feel free to come to us at one of the interim settings and let us know that you all have resolved it and everything's great. If not, we will get you your trial.
Okay, Judge, I don't think I have a conflict, but I have to double check. But if I do, I'll contact the court.
Okay.
Well, I've got young ladies in volleyball and they have a crazy schedule. So,
okay.
Right.
Let us know and we'll try and work with you. Okay.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you, gentlemen.
I'll reach out to you, Kent.
All righty. Who's next, Tree?
Okay, Judge Velasquez, page 8.
Okay, go ahead. Well, good morning. Okay.
Cause number 2020-000-2042, State of Texas versus Virginia Velasquez. Announcement of council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas. Ready, Your Honor.
Omar Carmona for Ms. Velasquez, Your Honor. Ready?
We're here for a final hearing plea deadline. I have a notation. There's an open warrant. Yes.
Yes, Judge, there's been an open warrant. We had filed a motion to have the warrant recalled. There was a new case, but it's still in P file status. So given how long the warrant's been active, we would like to re-urge our, sorry about that. That's another hearing going on. We would like to re-urge our motion to recall the warrant.
What's the new case, Mr. Herrera?
It's a possession, Judge.
Mhm.
Let me see.
What's the alleged date of offense?
One moment, Judge, sorry.
Mhm. Sure, I'm still trying to find Ms. Velasquez here, honestly.
It's March 29th, 2021, Your Honor.
Okay, do we have a status on that?
Let me,
I checked this morning and it was still in P file status.
it is still in P file status, Your Honor. Let me see what.
Okay. For now, I'm going to hold off, Mr. Carmona, on your motion to recall or reconsider. I think it was previously denied. We're going to come back on Thursday, though, and I'm going to need from the state some kind of update as to where that new case is. Are we in testing? Is it going grand jury? What's happening? So we'll
Thank
see
you,
you all
Judge.
on Thursday. Thank you.
you,
Mr.
Your Honor.
Carmona, you have one other matter?
Oh, yes. Are we gonna address that now?
Yes, Judge, it's Gabaldon on page 2.
Oh, okay.
Cause number 2021-020-0530, State of Texas versus Ivan Gabaldon. Announcement of council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas, ready, Your Honor.
Omar Carmona and Denise Butterworth on behalf of Mr. Gabaldon, we are ready.
And this one I did review as well. It's a motion to inspect evidence, correct? We're set for the final judges, but a motion was filed. Oh, I thought I had printed it, but let me go into Odyssey. Mr. Herrera, did you receive and review that motion?
Yes, Judge, and just to give the defense and the court an update. So I'm going out to the property office tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and we're gonna send off what needs to be sent off for testing to DPS. Once that's done, there should be no problem with Mr. Butterworth and Ms. Butterworth and Mr. Carmona coming in and inspecting whatever evidence they need to once all that's been sent out. So that's happening tomorrow morning. And then as far as the items that are, discs or thumb drives, those I will request tomorrow morning that we get copies of so that they can be provided to the defense and they can look at that as soon as practicable. But that stuff is all going to be sent off tomorrow, and at that point there's nothing barring them from coming in and inspecting whatever they items they need to.
Is there anything on their motion that is available today?
Judge, so I did shoot an email, and let me see if those are there are a few items. The most important one is obviously the defendant's statement. I heard from my investigator yesterday that was we've received that, and that was being uploaded to portal. So let me see if it's up there now. I mean, sometimes that might take a little bit of time, but we've got the discs and they should be uploaded if they haven't already. Let me double check on that.
And Judge, while Mr. Herrera looks at that, I'd like to make a little bit of a record of our motion and what's going on here, if I may be allowed.
Yes, ma'am.
So we filed this motion, and I've told Mr. Herrera that he's kind of off the hook for a little bit of this because we've been trying to get a copy of our client's statement way before Mr. Herrera was assigned to this court. And I'm hoping the court will appreciate the magnitude of the fact that on a murder case, we are having to come before the court desperately begging to get a copy of our client's statement from a murder that was committed and indicted at the beginning of this year. I know that I have spoken to Mr. Carmona, who can at least, as far as finding a timeline, can find a minimum documentation time of requesting our client's statement back on March 5th of 2021. And we still, as of today's hearing on October 5th, we have still not received a copy of our own client's statement in this particular case. I have started to communicate with Mr. Herrera in writing through emails, and I know that he had reached out to me a couple of weeks ago saying that he had requested the defendant's statement and had still not received it yet from the property office at the El Paso Police Department. What I want to point out to the court is really reading between the lines what that means. What that means is that no one from the district attorney's office has had a copy of our client's statement where he is adamantly stressing that this murder was committed in self-defense. And I'm going to repeat that to make sure that that is digested. This murder was committed in February, and the DA's office, as of today's date, has still not had a copy of the defendant's statement, which means that it has not been reviewed, it has not been looked at, and yet this case was indicted and we are set for trial.
We want trial in a month.
And we want to make sure the record is crystal clear that Mr. Carmona and I are ready for trial. We believe our client is justified. This was a justified homicide and self-defense. It is what our client said coming out of the gates. Apparently, that statement and that defense hasn't even been reviewed by the DA's office, since they do not have a copy of this confession in their possession. We are ready for trial, Judge. I have looked at everything that's available in portal, every single supplement, statement, witness statement, photo. I have made a request of what we are asking copies for. The other thing I want to make sure is on the record is I also reached out to, again, Mr. Herrera. This is really no fault of his either. This should have been done at the prep end of this homicide, not a front line trial attorney trying to do this and cover a felony docket. But we requested to review the evidence to prepare for trial. And the communication I received just a few weeks ago was that nothing had been sent to DPS for testing in this particular case. And Mr. Herrera just told you, Judge, that that meeting to send off physical evidence for DPS testing is not scheduled until tomorrow morning. And we are set for trial and we are ready for trial, Judge. Our client remains incarcerated on what we believe was a justified homicide. I'm at a loss for words other than in my order, what we are requesting is if the state is going to ask this court for additional time to prepare, now that the court has the background, knowing that they have not even reviewed his statement where he is claiming self-defense, for them to look at it and apply the penal code definition of self-defense to see if it even applies while they seek justice. And two, they have not even sent off evidence to be testing. We're ready for trial. And so what the order that I've included is, number one, we are begging to look at this evidence, to review the evidence, to get the evidence turned over to us. First and foremost, the statement given by Mr. Gabaldon. But what we're requesting is either all continuance made by the state be denied and we go to trial since he has been incarcerated since February, or that the court allow our client out on a full PR bond in this particular case based on the lack of workup.
So, Ms. Butterworth, you have very clearly articulated a frustration that the court has, as well as, I don't know if it's a consequence of our restart date being October, and now we're starting to see, I guess we're shedding light on some of these cases, and we're starting to see, obviously the court is now receiving, this is not the first motion from the defense bar with serious concerns about the status of some of the most serious cases that the DA's office is handling. I don't want to draw any conclusions, but I absolutely hear you and share your concern. And I am not minimizing that. I'm kind of sitting here trying to stay calm because what I'm seeing is similar to what we had in a case. I think we have them reset today, the same kind of situation where basically murder cases where absolutely nothing has been done on behalf of the state to make an attempt. In this case here, I believe your representation is that co-counsel, Mr. Carmona, requested what I think would be a very simple thing, is to have a defendant's statement uploaded on portal since March, a month after the defendant's arrest. And we're sitting here 30 days away from trial, and we don't even have that. And so I hear you, Ms. Butterworth. I hear what the concerns are. Let me take a step back, because part of the complication becomes the jury panels and your November 5th trial setting. Okay, I was looking to see, as you all know, in terms of the COVID protocol for jury trial, courts are required to request, and basically every court is required to request well ahead of time the panels. I do not have that November 5th date. I hear what you're saying about going to trial. What I do have, and Chewy, please confirm for me, I do have the 10th of December, and if I'm not mistaken, I have panels on both the 3rd and 4th. I think I was unsuccessful in being able to request the 9th so that I could have the 9th and 10th together. But what I have been doing in terms, and this is just going back to scheduling, I'm throwing this out there so we kind of know in terms of the substantive issues where we're headed. What I'm telling you is November 5th, I do not have a panel. While you were speaking, I was looking to see if we could get panels on the 3rd and 4th, and those are also already reserved. So trying to get you something close to that date was also not possible. So I'd like to go with what I know I have now, which is, and Chewy, I don't want to misspeak. What are the dates that we have in December? We have panels.
Okay, Judge, we have 2 panels on December the 2nd and 2 panels on December the 10th. December the 9th has been taken by another court. I can check which court that is if you need it.
I believe it's CCR4, if I'm not mistaken. So we have December 10th, 2 panels, December 2nd, 2 panels. Can you check the master calendar for December 1st?
December 1st, Judge, shows CCR4
Jeez.
and CC1 on December the 9th.
Okay. So the reason, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you all are going to be requesting a panel of at least 150. Am I correct in that?
You are, Judge. However, I can tell you we're also amenable if it allows our client to go to trial any sooner, that we bring in however many people and we qualify them day by day by day until we get a qualified jury.
Mm-hmm. Chewy, is the 19th still open?
Let me check, Judge. 19th of December?
No,
Or-
of November. And if it's open, is the 18th open?
Both dates are taken, Judge, the 18th and 19th.
And am I understanding that the dates are taken by misdemeanor courts? I guess we're the way that it's working with COVID. I just wonder if any of those misdemeanor courts have had anyone in custody as long as our client has been. But I guess that doesn't matter.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ms. Butterworth, how can I say? Once they're approved, they get their date. I don't get to come in and say, well, my case is bigger and therefore can I have, I do inquire with the courts, but as you can imagine, as they manage their dockets the same way I do, I mean, it's hard to say for certain, they can give up a date. We have 2 panels on, 2 panels on. 9 is unavailable. Okay. My thought would be to proceed, if you all do not object, to the 2 panels that we have on December 2nd. What that means is we go through, I bring in 57 in the morning, 57 in the afternoon, and we proceed that way. That's what I can give you right now is 2 panels.
We're ready, Judge.
Okay.
And Your Honor, that's still 2 panels of 57.
If you have an objection, Mr. Herrera, you need to file it in light of the circuit, like the context in which we're discussing this.
Yes, Your Honor.
I will consider your objection, but understand when I am hearing from defense bar that the state has done 0 in terms of even providing a statement to defense counsel, I am going to be potentially less than sympathetic to a request to have, I mean, you've seen the scheduling. Again, as Ms. Butterworth has said, I know it's not on you, but it is on you to some extent in terms of where we are now. So we're going to go forward with that December 2nd jury selection. What that will put us at is beginning, so we don't have anything on the 3rd, Chewy? I thought we had the 3rd. No, the 3rd is taken by the 243rd. Okay. We will go with a jury selection on the 2nd. With that said, I think we can just start trial on that Friday. We have to kind of think outside the box and not go to Monday, that kind of thing. And so that's our target date. As I've mentioned before, in terms of the logistics of trial, we have our protocol. If you have any objections, this is how I intend to proceed forward, as at least with the health situation being what it is today. If it's the same, if it's better, I may reconsider. I will require that non-speaking individuals wear a mask. Attorneys, as you conduct voir dire, object, to the extent you feel comfortable conferring with your client, you may remove your mask. Individuals on the panel may remove their mask to speak, but if they're not speaking, I am requiring that they wear a mask. It will be the same once trial commences. Anyone on the witness stand does not have to wear a mask, and certainly addressing the witness, you do not have to wear a mask. But the jurors will be required to wear a mask as they hear evidence. And so I've had other attorneys ask that they not, things like that. So those kinds of things, please keep that in mind. I don't know if anyone intends to request to have a witness appear remotely. I'm not inclined to do that, but if there is that need, I need to know who it is and if the other side has an objection to that. For my purposes, I think everything should be in person unless there is a health concern. And let me think, what else are we covering? Okay, so logistically for the trial, that's what I can think of right now. So if you have your objections, file them no later than 3 weeks. So I would say the week before Thanksgiving, so we can have a hearing that week before we get to the actual trial date. Okay. Now going back to the motion, Mr. Herrera, you mentioned you're going to make some efforts tomorrow. I don't know how quickly we'll have a statement or other evidence. We're gonna come back on Thursday, and I want to see what they have done. When we have an update from there, Ms. Butterworth, Mr. Carmona, any requests or relief that you feel is necessary at that point. you can request it then.
Thank you, Judge. And I guess what we'll do is table any deadlines that the court will put into place for the state to turn over any of this stuff. I guess we'll see where we are on Thursday. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's what you're understanding. You're understanding correctly. Well, I'll reserve comment. All right. We'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All righty. Who's next, Chuy?
Okay, Judge Olivera, on page 8.
Go ahead.
Cause number 2020-0D02708, State of Texas versus Juan Alberto Sosa Olivera. Announcement of council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas, ready, Your Honor.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. We're here, final hearing, plea deadline. Who is that? Is it Julia? Is that you?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Okay, final hearing, plea deadline. What's the rec?
Your Honor, so we were asking, I believe the recommendation is 5 deferred on this case. However, I don't believe from what Ms. Martin has relayed to me, because of his immigration status, I don't think he's able to plead to that without affecting his immigration status. So at this point, we're likely looking at a trial just because of the defendant's immigration status.
Ms. Martin?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so your client, he's not in jail. Can we push it back to that April 22nd trial setting? Is there any objection to that?
Your Honor, I may be out of town on April the 22nd.
Okay. Sandy, what was the other date? It was May, is it May 6th?
May 6th was the other one, Judge. I do have the 29th, but yes, ma'am, the May date is the 6th.
29th or the 6th, Ms. Martin?
May 6th, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll reset, get you your setting. Thank you very much. Who's next, Chuy?
Okay, Judge Garcia on page 9, top of the page.
Okay, go ahead.
Cause number 2018-0D03467, State of Texas versus Cesar Garcia. Announcement of council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas, ready, Your Honor.
Ruben Ortiz Ababa, Cesar Garcia, we're ready also, Judge.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, there it is. Okay, so we're set for a status conference motion, follow-up on motion for early discharge. What were we waiting on this one? This was a quick reset.
Well, Judge, one thing I can, just to give you an update, I have reached out to the complaining witness, and she's got no problems with early discharge.
Okay.
So there's no objection there on behalf of the state, and the complaining witness is on board.
Ms. Pineda, did you have anything to add?
Excuse me.
No, Your Honor, that is correct. As far as the complaining witness goes, probation did receive a letter as well from complaining witness. I did forward that letter to you as well this morning. And there are no objections to the early discharge that was following the 9/2/21 hearings that we had.
Okay. And I gotta think we got a proposed order from you, Mr. Ortiz.
I'm sorry, Judge, what, I didn't hear you, I apologize.
On the motion for early discharge, did you send a proposed order?
We can send it right now, Judge.
I do see it.
Normally, we attach it to the motions, Judge, but we can send another one. I have it right here.
Okay, if you'll go ahead and send it, that's gonna be granted.
Thank you, Judge.
All righty, thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge, may I be excused?
Yes, sir. Who's
Thank
next?
you. Bye-bye.
Judge, the writ of habeas corpus on Marco Alarcon.
Just give me 1 second. I think I need to get some paperwork. Hold on.
Yes, Judge.
All righty. Okay, now we can go. Good morning, Mr. Lerma. Chewy, are you there?
I'm here, Judge. Mr. Lerma's muted. I don't know if he's.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like he's, okay. It's cause number 2021 DCV 3315, Marco Alarcon versus State of Texas. Announcement of council, please.
I'm unmuted now. Eduardo, go ahead, DA.
Oh, Brandon for the State of Texas. Ready, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Eduardo N. Lerma on behalf of Marco Alarcon, and we're ready.
And Mr. Alarcon is appearing via Zoom. Mr. Lerma, you may proceed on your writ.
Your Honor, I believe the state has filed, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Herrera, a motion to dismiss.
That's correct, Your Honor. So I believe the issue is moot. I don't know if you wanted to proceed, but we have filed that motion to dismiss on October 1st, 2021.
On when was it?
October 1st, Your Honor.
Okay. What was the basis for the dismissal?
Your Honor, so let me pull up the motion here, and I think I'm trying to get my Odyssey. One moment, Judge. And I think, let me pull it up 1 second. Hold on, Judge.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Lerma.
That's quite all right, Your Honor.
Okay, I apologize, Your Honor. So basically, the state reviewed the case, Your Honor, and based on the evidence, there was not enough to establish all the elements of the crime. So the P file was declined.
Okay, so the motion to dismiss, I'm seeing a motion to dismiss. This is in JMAG 2100614. Is that the dismissal?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, and it says declined on September 28th, 2021. Reason number 14. Reason number 14 is what?
So evidence does not make the elements of a crime, Your Honor.
Okay. All
And
right.
then the order was signed, I guess, on the 1st is what I was looking at. So.
Okay. All righty, then you're correct. Yes, it's gone. Mr. Lerma, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Your Honor, and my be excused, Your Honor,
Absolutely. Stay well.
as well as my client.
Yes, sir. Good luck to you, Mr. Alarcon. Thank you, Mr. Herrera.
Your Honor.
Judge Stogner on page 8.
Okay, go ahead.
Cause number 2010-0D0 3502. Cause number 2010-0D0 3503. State of Texas versus Michael Stogner. Announcement of council, please.
I'm trying to get my video to come on. Aaron Delaney Matney for the state. Good morning.
Good morning.
Edward Hernandez on behalf of Michael Stogner, ready to proceed, Your Honor.
And what is an update on Mr. Stogner?
Your Honor, I've actually completed the conversion document, which is in the form of Rule 11 agreement on both cases. I sent copies to both my unit chief and to the client. My unit chief has returned it with proposed edits, so I'll be editing it. I still have not discussed it with my client yet from when he looked at it. So I anticipate that'll be today. So I believe we'll have them to Ms. Delaney this afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay, we're coming back on Thursday for a status.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I anticipate that we'll probably be going back and forth with Ms. Delaney for a few days. The proposed signature date is the 14th. I don't know if we can, I just want to give her time to, obviously there's going to be a lot of information she's going to want to probably check on.
Carla, is he terms what date?
I think it's the 30th.
October 31st.
Okay, so we'll,
Judge, I already had a status on the 14th at 11 that I can keep or I can change.
Yeah, and I think that'll work, Your Honor. In fact, I think that's the date I used as the signature date. So we can go back and forth before then, Ms. Delaney and I, with anticipation that the signature date would be the 14th.
Okay, well, we can go with the 14th then. My only thought is that I'm not gonna be here if we're picking a jury. Okay, that's okay. We'll do the 14th.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, next. Thank you, Ms. Delaney.
My excuse,
Thank you,
Judge?
Mr. Stogner. If Chewy says you are, Mr. Hernandez.
I believe that's the only case, right, Mr. Hernandez?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Okay, Judge Ortega, page 6.
Okay.
Cause number 2019-0D01174, State of Texas versus Adrian Ortega. Announcement to council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas, ready, Your Honor.
Morning, Your Honor. Ruben Hernandez from Mr. Ortega. And Judge, I believe that this case is going to be disposed of today. I believe Mr. Herrera was going to submit the dismissal.
Yes, Judge, and I will file that this morning. I'll send it over.
I'm not gonna reset it for Mr. Ortega. Has to come in here all the time. So I'm gonna rely on you, Mr. Herrera. Don't let me get this one lost.
No, Judge, I'll file it today.
Okay, thank you very much. Who's next, Chewy? Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Herrera.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Okay, Judge Nevares on page 6 as well.
Okay, go ahead.
Cause number 2020-0D01004, State of Texas versus Armando Nevares. Announcement to council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas, ready, Your Honor.
Number 2 on behalf of Mr. Nevada is ready to proceed, Your Honor.
And we are set for a status conference. We have a jury trial in May of 2022. Is that right? Yeah. What are we doing?
Judge, so the state's recommendation is 25 TDC. Ms. Martin got back to me and with the defendant's counter of 10. So I'm going to evaluate that. But in the meantime, I think we're just keeping our dates unless we come to an agreement.
Okay, so we have future dates. If there's an agreement, I'm sure I'll hear from you all. If not, anything requires a hearing, just let us know. We'll get you set. Thank you very much. Who's next, Chewy?
Okay, Judge Moises Martinez on page 4.
Okay.
Cause number 2019-0D05859, State of Texas versus Moises Martinez. Announcement to council, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas, ready, Your Honor.
Christopher Hernandez for Mr. Martinez. We're ready as well.
Okay, this is set, let me see, for a status conference, but this is one, final judges, November 12th, jury trial, December 3rd, which one knows? Okay. Final hearing plea deadline, November 30th. Where are we?
Go ahead, Mr. Hernandez. I don't want to.
Okay. I was negotiating with Linsui, had gotten her a bunch of stuff and we were talking. I was unaware until this morning that she was no longer with your office. So I just need to figure out who's handling this case and who I need to get the stuff to.
So my email is up on the chat, Mr. Hernandez. Obviously, well, you've just found out that Ms. Vergara is no longer with our office. So if you want to go to my chief, it is Rene Flores. Okay, so you can copy us both on any correspondence. But I mean, from what I do know, obviously the recommendation was 30 from way back when. And from what I do know, that despite negotiations with Ms. Vergara, I think we were still pretty far off and headed for a trial. But as far as any future correspondence, you can send it my way or to Mr. Rene Flores.
Okay, I'll send it to y'all. Well, some other stuff came up, but let me forward it to you right now.
Yes, sir.
So this has been pending for quite a while and your client is in custody, Mr. Hernandez. I mean, I'm not sure what is outstanding, but at this point we're looking at a specially set jury trial in December. I I mean, I don't want to delay anymore other than trying to accommodate a panel for you.
Okay.
So I guess what I'm saying is I need to know some movement because your client has been in jail for 736 days. That's a lot. We have a final judges on November 2nd. I mean, I think at this point we need to start going over the logistics of your jury trial because this is specially set. How many panel members do you need? What objections do you have to the protocol, the COVID protocol for trial? And are you ready to go to trial?
We can be ready to go to trial by December. I don't have any substantive objections to the protocols. The only thing that may hold up trial prep or being ready for trial would be I need to locate the CPS investigator, which is a lot of what Ms. Vergara and I were talking about and what's in the CPS records, because there's a lot of exculpatory stuff in there. But assuming we can get a hold of them and subpoena them and there's not an issue, I don't see why we wouldn't be ready in December.
So for now, what I'm going to do is for the special setting, I do not have a panel for the 3rd. I do have a panel for the 10th. In fact, I believe I have 2 panels for the 10th. So that will give us 114 panel members. We need to start there with that date and go forward with the idea that we are going because if I'm not mistaken, he might be, you know, top 1 or 2. Let's see, he's number 3 in terms of amount of time in custody. And so unless I hear differently from you, Mr. Hernandez, that's what we're going to go with. So we're going to go with December 10th. So it's a 1-week backup. The 243rd has that date reserved for jury selection. So it is not available to me.
Okay.
So we're going to push that back. We don't have, let's see, we're the 5th. We would be coming back on the 2nd. I want to check in with you guys on October 19th. Mr. Hernandez, maybe you can investigate the issue with the CPS witness. If in general, I'm not real psyched about having witnesses appear remotely, but if that is an issue, please bring before the court the circumstances if for whatever reason your witness or any of your witnesses on either side need to appear remotely, and if there are objections to that. You know, I'm more inclined to do everything in person, and so if there's going to be something different than that, I need to know why. That may affect us being able to go to trial. And so things of that nature, if you're good in terms of the plan, the trial plan, but if you find there's something you need to file some type of objection, file it before the November 2nd date. That's the final judges conference. But I do want to check in with you all on the 19th. Okay, so let's get an update for then and see how we're doing. By that time, if there's going to be any change in the rec, you will have spoken with Mr. Flores or whoever else you need to speak with in the DA's office, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Thank you, Mr. Herrera.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. So 12:10. All righty. Who's next, Tree?
Okay, Judge Garcia Gomez on page 9.
Okey doke.
Cause number 2020-0D06173. State of Texas versus Jose Garcia Gomez. Announcement of counsel, please.
Brian Herrera for the state of Texas, ready, Your Honor.
Brent Stevens for Mr. Garcia, we're ready, Your Honor.
Okay, and we're set for a, let me see, a motion to recall also for the judges conference. Mr. Stevens, you may proceed.
Judge, my client is probably online. I know that they've been in contact with me all morning, and he should be there. A warrant was issued in this case. It's a possession under 1 gram. Right at the arraignment, I believe it was reset for about 1 week because we weren't able to get a hold of my client. but I mailed him letters and he responded, and I've been in contact with him ever since. He signed a waiver of arraignment, and the settings, those should be on Odyssey now. And he and his wife are readily available to me by phone anytime I call. So we're asking that the court will withdraw his warrant and allow him to proceed through his settings.
Okay. So the issue was showing up for court. Is that what it was? Was that the only issue?
It was, Judge, and originally, I believe Ms. Aguirre can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was a cash bond, and that may have been, I think that's what caused us problems to start with.
So, yeah, Ms. Aguirre sent out notice, not a good number and not a good email, no response from either. So is your client on here? I'm sorry.
Yes, Judge. And Your Honor, I apologize. I normally send notice ahead of time that my client needs an interpreter. But if you want to speak to my client in Spanish, I have no objections, Judge. But I did instruct him not to discuss the case.
So, okay, Mr. Herrera, do you have any position on this?
Judge, we've got him now. So as long as he shows up for court, the state has no opposition to the motion. We'll defer to you.
Is there any history? I'm trying to access the jailings. No, I only see one jailing. Okay. Alrighty. So for my purposes, I'm going to go ahead and recall the warrant, but I need him to provide, maybe Ms. Aguirre, maybe you can address Mr. Garcia just for the contact information, the current contact information, and explain how he needs to appear via Zoom as he's doing today prior to every hearing that is scheduled.
May I address him briefly, Your Honor?
Yes, thank you.
Señor García, ¿me puede oír, señor? Señor García, si está en el teléfono, oprime estrella 6 para poder oír. No lo tengo en silencio, pero necesito que diga algo.
You probably didn't connect to the audio. I didn't see it come up.
Mr. Stevens,
I have an email address which is different than the one that was on the bond, and I also have 2 phone numbers, one for him and one for his wife, which I can provide to the court.
go ahead and email that to me, Mr. Stevens, because since it is a cash bond, I send out notice, or I should say myself and the bailiff send out notice, if not certified mail, regular mail, and via email. So I just need to make sure that we have that. So if you can send that to me and Mr. Pantoja, and then I'll make contact with Mr. Garcia later, if not right now.
So
Yes, ma'am.
what we're going to add to this is a $500 PR bond. Can we get PR in here to interview him and get him squared away?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I don't know how we're going to be able to do that if he can't access his audio. Ugh.
We can put him back in the waiting room. Mr. Stevens, like I said, I'll just need that information from you ASAP so that if anything on a quick break, I'll call him and make sure he knows how to log in or have the audio on.
I'll send it to you right now.
Please.
So the only conditions on the PR bond are going to be to report once a month, maintain current contact info, and commit no new offenses.
Judge, it appears that he just connected and he's muted.
Oh, okay.
Señor García, ¿nos puede oír? Si está en un teléfono, oprime estrella 6. Si está en su computadora, es Alt y luego la letra A. Señor García.
Sí. ¿Me escucha?
¿Me puede oír, señor?
Sí, claro.
¿Está usted en una computadora o en un teléfono?
En un teléfono.
Ok, en un momentito, señor. Yo me llamo Sandra Aguirre, soy la coordinadora de esta corte. En un momentito voy a hablar con usted y con alguien más acerca modo de poder comunicarnos con usted. So, necesito que se espere poquito más tiempo y luego ahorita le pregunto más cosas, ¿ok?
Claro.
Ok, hay con permiso, pues espérese, no se desconecte. Chuy, I'm gonna put him in the waiting room. Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna get him squared away with that, Mr. Stevens, but the case will be recalled.
Thank you, Judge. And I just sent the information to Ms. Aguirre.
Alrighty, thank you very much. So just make sure he knows, I'm sure Pierre will probably go over this, what his future settings are, that he's clear on how to report. I don't want to have that issue again. I mean, it doesn't seem like he's an MIA or so. Let's not have to go there again. Alrighty, who's next?
Okay, Judge, of the cases that need to go before you at the present time, I'm still waiting for 2 attorneys to come on.